Edmund Hillary, a name carved into the icy winds of the Himalayas. A man who stood not only on the highest mountain on earth, but also in the deepest corners of courage inside the human soul. His story is not just about Everest, it is about a shy, lanky boy who transformed himself into a giant, proving that mountains are conquered not with strength, but with an unbreakable spirit. Close your eyes and imagine the world in the early 1900s. Mount Everest was a mystery, a towering beast of ice so high that even the sky seemed afraid of it. People called it the Third Pole. Many tried to reach its summit, but all failed. Some never returned. Others returned broken. Everest became a symbol of the impossible. But somewhere in New Zealand, there was a boy who didn't look like a hero. Edmund Hillary was tall, awkward, introverted, and unsure of himself. He often felt invisible, unnoticed, but he found comfort in the mountains. When he walked through forests or climbed small peaks, he felt something awaken deep inside him, a whisper saying, "There is more inside you than you know." He wasn't born with confidence. He built it, one small climb at a time. As he grew older, he worked as a beekeeper, yes, a simple beekeeper. Summers filled with buzzing bees, winters spent training on snow and ice. Perhaps most people would have accepted such a life, but Edmund Hillary felt a pull, a calling, a dream rising like a mountain inside him. He believed that ordinary people could achieve extraordinary things if they were willing to suffer, sacrifice, and keep moving. In 1953, the world changed for him. The British Mount Everest expedition was forming. They knew the mountain had beaten the greatest climbers in the world, but they also knew it needed someone who was more than a climber, someone humble, disciplined, resilient, and willing to push when no one else could. Edmund Hillary fit the description, not because he was the strongest, but because he had character. He had patience, he had endurance, he had a quiet fire in his heart that no storm could extinguish. The journey began with a long trek through Nepal. Hillary carried 30 to 40 kilos on his back, crossed swinging rope bridges, and climbed through jungles and ice falls. The Sherpas, legendary Himalayan climbers, walked beside him. Among them was one man whose smile lit up the mountains, Tenzing Norgay, a Sherpa who had dreamed of reaching the summit his entire life. The bond between Hillary and Tenzing grew strong, two men from different worlds, united by the same dream. And then came the mountain, Everest. 8,848 meters of frozen danger, cliffs of ice crevasses that could swallow a man whole, avalanches that roared like angry gods, winds that sliced through clothing and bone. This was not a climb. This was a battle with nature itself. The team set up camp after camp, each one higher than the last. At 18,000 feet, the air thin. At 20,000 feet, lungs burning. At 25,000 feet, every step felt like lifting mountains. People began to collapse. Frostbite, exhaustion, oxygen starvation. Everest punished them for every movement. But Hillary moved steadily, quietly, determinedly. One day, while crossing the Khumbu Icefall, a maze of ice towers taller than buildings, Hillary slipped. He fell into a crevasse so deep that darkness swallowed him. For a moment, he thought it was the end, but with an instinctive swing of his axe, he jammed it into the wall and stopped himself from falling farther. He clawed his way out, breathless but alive. That was the day the mountain looked at him and whispered, "You are worthy." As they climbed higher, storms rolled in. Snow blasted the tents. Oxygen ran low. Many climbers turned back, but Hillary and Tenzing moved forward, step after step. They were chosen for the final summit attempt. Imagine the night before the climb. Cold, silent, deadly. The air so thin that breathing felt like inhaling needles. Inside their tiny tent at Camp 9, Hillary and Tenzing lay awake. They barely slept. They barely spoke. They knew dawn would decide their fate. And then morning came. May 29th, 1953. A date that would change history. They stepped into the death zone, a place where human life is not meant to exist. Above 8,000 meters, the body begins to die. Every heartbeat becomes a struggle. Every breath becomes a war. Frostbite gnaws at fingers. Vision blurs. The world becomes slow, heavy, distant. But they climbed. Hillary chopped steps into the ice with his axe one swing at a time. Tenzing followed, placing ropes, guiding, supporting. They moved as one unit, one soul, one heartbeat. Then came the Hillary Stepa, near vertical rock face at almost 29,000 feet. Many believed no human could climb it. It was the final barrier between them and the summit. Hillary looked at the wall, took a deep breath, and climbed it with precision and calm. He didn't panic. He didn't doubt. He trusted his training, his body, and his will. When he reached the top of the Hillary step, he pulled up the rope. Tenzing climbed. They looked at each other, two men standing on the edge of legend. And then, after more steps, more suffering, more cold, they reached a place no human being had ever stood. The summit of Mount Everest. Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay became the first people in human history to touch the top of the world. Imagine that moment. The world beneath them, clouds thousands of feet below, the sea of mountains stretching into the distance. Silence. Absolute silence. Hillary shook Tenzing's hand. Tenzing embraced him. Two men united by courage. They planted flags, took photographs, and stayed only 15 minutes because the mountain demands respect, not celebration. When they returned to base camp, the world erupted with joy. News spread like fire. Europe, Asia, America, every continent celebrated. The Queen knighted Edmund Hillary. Tenzing became a global symbol of Himalayan pride. But here is the most powerful part of Hillary's story. He did not think of himself as a hero. When a journalist told him, "Sir Edmund, you conquered Everest," Hillary smiled gently and said, "We knocked the bastard off." He didn't brag. He didn't boast. He remained humble, grounded, simple, because true greatness is quiet. After Everest, Hillary could have spent his life in fame, comfort, and luxury. But he chose something far greater, serving the Sherpa people who helped him climb. He built schools, he built hospitals, he built bridges and clinics. He devoted decades of his life to education in Nepal. He saved thousands of lives. That is what makes a leader. Not standing on top of a mountain, but lifting others so they can rise too. In the 1950s and 60s, Hillary turned his eyes south to Antarctica. He joined the Commonwealth Transantarctic Expedition and became one of the first people to reach the South Pole overland since Scott in 1912. Imagine snowstorms, freezing winds, brutal cold, and Hillary driving tractors across the endless white to reach the pole. His achievements stretched across two ends of the earth. He didn't conquer mountains. He conquered fear. He didn't conquer the South Pole. He conquered doubt. He didn't conquer the world. He conquered himself. But life tested him deeply. In 1975, his wife Louise and daughter Belinda died in a tragic plane crash. The man who stood on Everest fell into the deepest valley of grief. Yet Hillary did not surrender to sorrow. He rebuilt his life. He continued helping Nepal. He continued climbing. He continued smiling. He continued inspiring. Because resilience is not avoiding pain. It is rising after pain strikes at your soul. In his later years, he became a symbol of humility and courage. Young climbers idolized him. Leaders studied him. Nations honored him. But he remained the same beekeeper from New Zealand, simple, kind, modest, and brave. When Edmund Hillary died in 2008, the world mourned not just a mountaineer, but a giant, a man who taught humanity that no mountain is too high, no dream too distant, no challenge too great. What makes his story motivational is not Everest. It is the human being behind Everest. A shy boy who lacked confidence. A beekeeper who dared to dream. A climber who survived storms. A man who reached the highest place on earth and then chose to serve others. His life carries a message that echoes across generations. You don't need perfect talent. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need fame, money, or luck. You need only one thing: the courage to take the first step. Edmund Hillary reminds us that mountains exist in our own lives. The mountain of failure. The mountain of fear. The mountain of self-doubt. The mountain of poverty. The mountain of heartbreak. The mountain of dreams too big to explain. But if a beekeeper from New Zealand can climb the tallest mountain on earth, then you can climb the mountains inside you. Hillary teaches us, take one step, then another, then another. And someday you will stand at your own summit. Not because you were the strongest, not because you were the smartest, but because you refused to stop climbing. Edmund Hillary proved that greatness comes from humility, courage, and persistence. And now, his story is a reminder for you. Your Everest is waiting. Your summit is possible. Your journey begins now. All you must do is climb.